Good morning, everyone. I hope you are having a great Thursday so far. Hi, my name is Carly Bell, and welcome to the Oh So Delightful Sew Along. This is now week 8 of our sew along, where we are putting together the Oh So Delightful hanging wall quilt from Kimberbell. And you can see behind me, look at the pretty progress we have made. I'm so excited. Since we finished last week and I sewed all 3 sections together, I've been having it hang up in my craft room and I'm loving it. I can't wait till it's all finished and I can hang it up on the wall. So very, very excited. Thanks to everyone who's joining us, both our repeat followers that have been following along through the whole sew along, and then anyone that is new that is just joining us for the first time. Welcome. I'm excited that you're here. So let me check the chat real quick. I see Terry and Marina and Retha. Good morning. Good morning. Hope y'all are all doing well. So as I said, this is week 8 of the sew along, and believe it or not, today we are finishing the big inside bit of the quilt. So after today, we will have the whole main inside of the quilt done. And then next we'll start working on borders, backing, binding, embellishments, all the finishing touches for the quilt. So very, very excited. Yay. Marina says she finished section 3 and completed the homework. Really happy that I decided to join this sew along. I'm so happy you're here too. I'm so happy y'all are doing this with me because I would have never gotten this far if it wouldn't have been for y'all and y'all joining me each week and keeping me accountable. I am absolutely loving this. I don't know why we didn't start doing this years ago when I first went down that Kimberbell rabbit hole of goodness. We should have started this like right away. So I'm so happy. And I have all kinds of ideas for future sew alongs. And I got some wonderful suggestions from some of y'all, stepping outside of my little Kimberbell bubble here, but beautiful projects from Designs by Juju and Sweet Pea. So I'm going to expand my horizons into different projects as well. So I hope you stay tuned and follow along as we go through this process of getting over my fear of long-term projects. I'm usually like a one and done. Let's, an hour or two, start a project, finish it. I'm happy. But I was always so intimidated to start these longer projects because of this. But now I'm on board as long as y'all come with me every week and say, hey, Carly, are you making this? That helps me a lot. So. And I hope that I'm doing the same for y'all to help y'all move along in these bigger projects that are multiple hoopings. Yes, I love working together as a group and motivating each other. Definitely, definitely. Hi, Brenda and Diane. Retha says she's caught up and excited for the next sew along as well. So yay. So today is going to be fun. We are trying something that's going to be more complicated than what we have already done, where everything was just in the hoop and everything tidy, easily fit. We are going to put together a very large block, the biggest block on the quilt, but we're going to split it up and do it in several hoopings, but mainly a 5x7 hoop is what we're working with. And I'm so glad we're doing this because I scoured YouTube. I could not find a video where someone did this block in a 5x7 hoop. I found several where people did them in the big old hoops that come with a Stellaire or a Luminaire, but not with a 5x7 hoop. So I'm excited that we're doing this and hopefully it will be helpful to others. And I was very nervous about doing this. So I did a test block last night so I can go through the process myself before I do it live. And it wasn't bad at all. And I figured out some things along the way. And I'm like, okay, this would be good. This would be good. And it really wasn't bad at all. So this is what we're making today. It is the sewing machine block. We're making 2 blocks today. The prettier version of this one, this was just my test sew, the sewing machine block. And then we're also going to do the dress form block. Now that one can fit in a 6x10 hoop, which that's kind of what I'm going off of for this whole quilt here is if you have a 6x10 hoop, some of these blocks are going to be easier. If you only have a 5x7 block, 5x7 hoop, there are going to be 3 blocks that you're going to have to split up. This one, which we're going to go over today, the dress form, which is easy. and the iron block, which is not bad at all either. Once you see the sewing machine split up today, you'll kind of get a grasp for it, and the other two blocks will be the same. So sewing machine block and dress form block. We're going to start with the sewing machine just to get it out the way, because this one's going to take the longest. And I have several options for you, and some of those we talked about last week or week before when we did the iron block, but we're going to go over them in more detail today. All right. Yay. Okay, so Becky from Fort Worth is here, and she had all the intentions of doing this sew along. She got her stuff, and then of course life got in the way. The story of all of our lives. Becky, you are not the only one. But that is the great thing about this sew along, is they're all recorded. So you can go back and watch the replays when you're ready. And so that, you know, if you want to move faster than I was doing once a week, or if you need to move slower, you have those replays to watch whenever you want. All right. Okay, Retha pulled out her 9x14 hoop. So Retha, I'm going to go over what you need today, because if I remember correctly, you don't have Embroidery, so you're just putting everything on your machine. So I'll go over what you need to do as well today. So if you have those big hoops, it's much easier. What's going to be more complicated? It's not complicated, but it's more involved than what we've already done with these in the hoop blocks that we've been making. All right, so what I need you to grab is your cheat sheet. That is your free download that I made for all of you, and turn to page 9. If you haven't gotten this yet, there is a link down below to a post on my website that is all about the sew along and has the information to get this for free. Okay, you're going to need that. If you are working in your big 9.5x14 hoop, you're going to turn to page 28 of your instruction book. If you are working with the 5x7 hoop, you are going to go to your digital files that you got with the CD with this project, and there's a folder for instructions. And in that folder, there is a separate PDF just for the 5x7 hooping of the sewing machine. And so you're going to want to either have your computer handy and have it opened up, or print it out. It's only 3 pages. So I went ahead and printed mine out. All right. Now, option number 1 in what I am doing is I am using the clear blue tile method of pre-quilting my fabric before we embroider the sewing machine on it. Okay. Now, the finished block is what? I think it's 8x10 finished block. The cut is 8.5 by 10.5. The fabric is 12.5 by 10.5. Lots of numbers there. It's big, okay? And depending on what size hoop you have, you can figure out a way to pre-quilt your fabric before we even start embroidering it, okay? Now, I'm working as if my largest hoop is a 6x10 hoop. So for me, it is super easy to do the background quilting on this piece of fabric in 2 hoopings. And I did that using a 4x10 clear blue tile. If you don't have clear blue tiles, that is okay. I love them. I think they are a great investment. But if you are not ready to invest in them now, I have an easy way for you. And that is just printing out the design with your Embroiance software. So you just open the design in Embroiance and hit print. It's going to print it true to size, and it's going to print it with some little crosshairs on it. Okay. For this block, we're using the Hobby 6 background quilting. When you open up that one, you will notice whenever we do it, some of the background quilting has it, some of it doesn't. But this is one of the ones where when we open the background quilting, it gives me 2 options. Do I want the block by block option, or do I want the clear blue tile option? You're going to go with the clear blue tile option and open up the size that's going to work for you. So if you have a 6x10 hoop, it's really pretty. Really easy. Just go open up the 4x10 option of the Hobby 6 clear blue tile, print it, or go grab your 4x10 clear blue tile if you have it. And we just do 2 sections of that embroidery design. And I'm going to go through that process. If you have a 5x7 hoop, I didn't sit and figure this out yet. So if the finished block is 8x10, you can do a 4x5, and that you would do 4 hoopings. I think that would be probably the easiest thing. Would be to do that. Let's see if they even have that option. Let's go. Let me pull up Brilliance, pull up my thing, and then change out so y'all can see my computer. All right. All right. I'm getting back to my folders. Okay, this is Hobby 6, Embroidery Files. This is where we have our 2 options. I'm going to pick clear blue tiles, whatever format, and look and see your size options. Do we have, yay. No, we don't have a 4x5. We got a 4x6. This would work too. This would be fine. It's just a smidge bigger. Your, whatchamacall, you could do 4x6 and then 4x4. You can do 2 of those. So let me open this and in Brilliance. See, there it is. And I'm just going to go to File, Print to my, I have the Brother Print Moda. I'm just going to print the first page because the second page is like a color chart. I don't need that right now. Print. And let me go open the 4x4 one too. Open that. File. Print. I just want to print the first page. So let me show you those options. Okay. All right. I have my 2 printouts. They're going to be true to size. And like I said, if you have the clear blue tiles, those are going to be the ones you want to go grab. So this will still be 4 hoopings, but it's going to go super quickly. And you're going to float your fabric, so it's going to be easy to get it right where you want it. I'm just cutting these out right around the edges. Nothing perfect, just getting it done. All right. Now, let's go so y'all can see this camera. And okay, I'm going to show you both options, Marina. I'm going to show you the 6x10 option and if you have a 6x10 hoop, if you have a 5x7 hoop. Okay, this is my piece of fabric for the sewing machine block. Okay. And okay, I'll tell you what was the first thing I did last night. This is my finished test block that I did. Okay. And if you turn it around on the back, you can see that visor, and that's also my batting. So with all of our other blocks that we've already made, I never trimmed this one. It's nice because the batting is not in the seam allowance, right? It's stepped in. And then y'all have seen for all the other blocks we've made, I have cut my batting true to size. For this particular one, it may be easier just to go ahead and cut your batting to be the same size as your fabric. So then you don't have to get things right on. But I'll show you what I did last night with this purple test block that I thought made life a little easier. And when you look at the measurements, the block is 8x10. The fabric is 1.25 inches bigger on all edges. So what I did was I turned my fabric over. You can do it on both sides. I did it on the front last night, but I think it might, to get the batting just right, it may be easier to do it on both sides. But what I did was I just took my ruler I measure, I put my little, where an inch and a quarter would be to line up right on the bottom of my fabric. And then I took my little fabric marker and I started an inch and a quarter away from the side. That would be here. And I drew a straight line. And then an inch and a quarter from the end would be here, here. Okay. So I'm just drawing myself a little guide of right where I want my batting to be. And also it's going to help me position my clear blue tiles. All right. Inch and a quarter. And I'm just connecting this. Now, there may be a better way to do this. This is just what I came up with when I was practicing last night. So if y'all see anything that y'all would be a better way, please, by all means, tell me. All right. So now I've created, if I measure it, 10 inches wide by 8 inches tall. And for me, this will be right where I'm going to put my batting. Okay. It also is a guide for the clear blue tiles. Now, like I said, last night I just did those markings on the front, but I think it's helpful to do it on the back too, because I was just kind of feeling and trying to get my batting in the right spot. Inch and a quarter. Inch and a quarter. And this is a washable marker, so this is going to come out with water. I might be a better idea to use the purple side of this one so that it'll erase a little better, because I know normally with this marker I have to soak it, but I'll figure that out when we're done. Because I did it to my purple one last night, because I don't actually plan on washing this block. Okay, so this is kind of a guide of my finished block size and where I'm going to put my clear blue tile. So I think doing both of those is helpful just for placement. Now, if you are using a clear blue tile and 4 is half 8, 10 is my width. So I can literally just line this up here and here. And all I really need is my center marks, so I know where to line my needle up to once I float that section. Okay. If you're using the printable that you have because you don't have clear blue tiles, what you can do is poke some holes in your printout, like right in the center, and then maybe at the little ends of the crosshairs, something like that. You can do that so you got a spot for your marker to go in. So you see how I did that? So you could do that and kind of have a placement. It's very forgiving. It doesn't have to be spot on. We're going to do the quilting in white on this light gray fabric, so super forgiving. So then what you're going to do is maybe line it up something like this and this. Make your marks, and then move it over here and make your marks. Does that make sense to everybody? Whether you're printing it out or you have the clear blue tile. What you're doing is you're figuring out a way to fill up the space. And so each place where you put marks is going to be a separate hooping. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one where I'm just lining it up with my little outline I made. Now, normally with clear blue tiles, you do all of this. Like you mark, I would mark this, I would mark this. When I did my little nephew's quilt, I did all those things because I was connecting like a huge old piece and I wanted all of these things to line up. But when it's only 2 or even 4 little hoopings for a small space, it's fine. It doesn't need to be, I don't find you have to mark all those things. So I'm just going to do this. And then this little window is for you to write what size tile or design you're using. I know I'm just using this. And then I think it's not necessary for these either because you know you're either doing the 4x6 or the 4x4. Okay. So now I have marked my fabric and it's ready to background quilt, but we're not having the steps like we had before where we're gonna either tack down or any of our batting. So we need to, in a sense, just attach our batting already to this. And you can use spray adhesive or even just a glue stick, whether it be the school glue stick or a 505 makes a glue stick. And this looks purple now, but it's white when it dries. And I've been doing my whole quilt with this and never had any trouble. Okay. Another thing is if you've been storing this piece of fabric in these envelopes, you may want to press it before you start because I know I had a fold line in mine, but I pressed it before I started the video. Okay, so here we go. I have my piece of fabric and I'm ready to go do the background quilting. Now, for our friends like Retha that are doing the whole project in a 9.5 by 14 hoop, you are going to proceed just like we have all the other blocks. You're going to hoop your 9.5 14 by 14 hoop with your either stabilizer or your muslin like we've been using. You're going to load the 8 by 10, is it? Yes, 8 by 10 hobby 6 background quilting design on your machine. And it's going to do the 4 steps. It's going to do the placement step for the batting. Lay your batting down on top of your stabilizer. If you're trimming it, it'll do the tack down, trim, placement stitch for your background fabric, put it down, and then the tack down basting stitch for your background fabric. So that's what you're going to do, Retha. And then you'll upload your sewing machine embroidery design on top. All right, if you're doing the clear blue tile or clear blue tile cheater method, we need to get our batting and fabric together as one and make our marks of where we're going to do still doing the hobby 6 background quilting, but we're going to now not choose the block by block method. We'll choose the clear blue tile method, matching whatever size we need to for depending on what size hoop you have. So now I had this done. I went ahead and did the Life is So Good. This is part of section 4 of the quilt. It is the same exact procedure as the cross stitch heart block we did last week. So I went ahead and did it so that we could put together section 4 because I know this one block we're working on now is going to take some time. All right, no, I don't want the 5 by 7 hoop. If you're using the smaller background quilting designs, you'll need the 5 by 7 hoop. I did it like a 6 by 10. So I am going to get my 6 by 10 hoop. Oh, there goes my muslin, all unrolled. Let me get this out. So I got a nice flat surface. And I'm getting it to where I can put it right under there. Okay, now what you are going to want to do is mark your center on your stabilizer or whatever, a muslin, whatever you are using. I have to find the grid. What I did last night, I realized something I had already in my machine. that may be helpful for some of y'all, but it's really the same no matter which way you go. Kimberbell / Me Time has a free embroidery design download of center crosshairs. So like it will stitch the crosshair into the stabilizer to help you with placement. Here we go. And that's great for those of y'all that have hoops that did not come with grids. So this time, last night I did the stitching crosshairs. This time I'll do the marking. Okay. Okay, so Marina says, if we have the larger hoop, we can use Embroidery, first bring in the quilting file, and then put the embroidery design on top. Yes, exactly. You would do it just like we did all the other blocks for this quilt. Open up that 8x10 hobby 6 in Embroidery. It will automatically go in the center. You could click the preference window and choose that you're using a 9.5x14 hoop. And then go to your sewing machine design and drag and drop it right on top. It will automatically center, and then you can send that whole thing to your machine. Or you could do like I do, where I delete steps 2 and 3 of the background quilting because I made my batting fit perfectly before you send it to your machine. All right, so now we have our stabilizer. We have it marked. You're going to want to put some adhesive. I think for this one, it may be easier to do the spray than the glue stick. My spray has been acting up, like it's spraying without the glue coming out, but I could feel that it's full. It's weird. All right, now we want to float this onto here where my blue lines all line up. Something I was playing with last night that helped me. See if I can do this without getting it stuck. Is I use my ruler to go right on my center lines like this, and I folded it over, and I even used a little wonder clip, and I tried to put the clip right on the center, so it's right on 8-ish right there where my finger is. Just something close. And then I did this where I put my ruler right on top, took my little clip off, see if that lines up. Then I could move it down a smidge. It's kind of stuck. Something like that. It's a little bit helpful. May not be perfect, but you can move it around. You can also move your needle when you're done, when you get it on the machine. But I'm just trying to get that crosshairs lined up with my crosshairs I drew on my stabilizer. And now I'm going to press and kind of get that set. Okay. And then you could, if you wanted to, use some tape and tape your fabric down on the sides, because it's going to kind of shrink up a little bit. That was one thing I noticed with the purple. So getting it good and adhered to your stabilizer as much as possible. Maybe I'll add a little bit of tape and see if that helps keep it from pulling when it actually starts quilting. Okay, so now this is ready. If you're doing the method like me of using a smaller hoop, this is ready now to go bring to your machine and do one part of the background quilting, and then we will unhoop it, rehoop it, follow the same process, and do the background quilting on this side. And when we're done, it will look like it was all done in one hooping, like our friends that are using the 9.5x14, and it's really hard to tell. I did white quilting on this purple fabric. Can y'all see it? And you can see my clear blue tile marks. So this was a separate hooping from this. So if you look right in the middle, you can't tell. It's all there. All right, so all you need to upload to your machine now, or if you want to upload it in Embrilliance and send it to your machine, is the clear blue tile of the one you're using. So where am I? Here. There we go. So y'all saw what I did where I opened up the 4x4 and the 4x6 if you're using a 5x7 hoop. If you're using the 6x10 hoop like me, then you can't see it when it's like this. So change it to view as a list. And now I can actually read it all. And I sent this one to my machine. And what am I looking for? This one? That's a 6x10 hoop. So you could see here how it fits in a 6x10 hoop. So this is what you're going to want to either Wi-Fi to your machine or save as a stitch file on a USB stick and then go plug that into your machine. All right, so there's the machine. All right, any questions about setting up my fabric on my stabilizer and marking it? You know, did all that make sense? Ooh, Marina, you have Dime's laser light. I've been wanting one of those. You still need to figure out how to use it. Actually trying to justify one of my mini impulse purchases. Maybe I need to impulse purchase with you, and then it'll be justified because we'll do it together. Okay, loading my hoop on my machine. Let me go home. I already sent this. I already have this design on my machine because I did it last night. So I'm gonna go from me, embroidery, Wi-Fi, and what was it named? Hobby 6. Four by 10. Okay, so there's the 4x10 design. I'm gonna hit set, embroidery. Now I have a laser light on mine, so I'm gonna look and see if that laser light is right on the center marks of my fabric, and it's just a smidge off. So I'm gonna move my needle so that it's right on top of it now. Okay, if you don't have a laser light on your machine and you're trying to figure out is your needle really on top of it, just hit the needle down and the needle up button. Okay, that you'll see right where your needle goes into your fabric, and you'll see if it goes right into where oh, it's not going off. If it goes in right where your mark was. Okay, so that's your trick. If you don't have a laser light, just do needle down, needle up, and you'll see that it's right where it's supposed to be. All right, so now you want to make sure you actually have this red color that you want, which for me is white. No. Need to have the presser foot up in order to actually pull the thread out. All right, so I'm loading white thread. Thread the machine. Okay, and now everything's ready to go. Lower my presser foot. Make sure nothing's in the way. And it's going to stitch all the hobby 6 here. And then when that's done, we'll rehoop and move on to the next size. All right, so will someone with the smaller hoop tell me if all that made sense? I really want to make sure I'm clear and y'all understand the whole like mapping out your background quilting and rehooping it on that one piece of fabric. Retha says, what is my go-to size and brand of needle for an embroidery machine? Either Oregon or Schmetz 7511 ballpoint. That's my go-to. That's what's pretty much always on my machine. Lori wants to know, am I planning on doing another machine embroidery project? So are you talking about like another sew along, a big project like this? Yes, I am. Been supposed to, all this week, I was supposed to start working on a bench pillow by Kimberbell called Street, um, Main Street Celebration. There's a little picture of it, but it's a rather large bench pillow. It has 7 blocks going across. I think these blocks are all made to do with a 6x10 hoop, but they can be done with a 5x7 hoop. And then you just have some piecing and little borders on it. But yes, I want to start. I need to sit down and start working on this week. I got my little bin of fabrics, but I really need to go and pick. Okay, I know my blue, but like this patchwork border, I pick all my colors from a patchwork border, and then make sure I have all the other fabrics for like the different parts of the fire station and the general store and the farmhouse. Just make sure I have everything and like assign a fabric to each one of these that are on here. And then I'll film preparing for the quilt and getting everything pre-cut, and then we'll start stitching it. But yes, I told myself I'm definitely gonna start it. I think I'm gonna pick my fabrics and everything today and then make my little, I need to make the little cheat sheet like I made for this quilt. So this was the sheet I made for this quilt to kind of help you stay organized. I'll make one like that for this little bench pillow. That shouldn't take me long. And then maybe tomorrow I can actually film the first bit, and then I'll upload it to YouTube as soon as I'm done. All right, let's see. Yay, Reefa's got it. Hi, Brenda. Okay, Marina says, I'd love to do a sew along to make a quilted jacket from a sweatshirt. I never saw it from a sweatshirt. I've seen patterns to make a quilted jacket. I want to say even Me Time has it where you can get it. Oh, you have to tell me more about the whole sweatshirt bit. Let me show you what. Oh, I wanted to show you this. Let's do that. Okay, this is Me Time's website. If you go to shop, and I think if you sort it by lowest price, this is all their free stuff. You can get a free zipper pouch, a free block, a free house, snowflakes. This is a quilt design. This is the center crosshairs so that it will just stitch the crosshair instead of like I did it with the marker. You can do that instead. What else? I thought they had a quilted jacket. Now this is like the lowest price actual things. So the top bits are all free. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Jacket. Yeah, here we go. They have a pattern. So it's $18. And I think it's the pattern to make this jacket. But I like to hear more about the sweatshirt. That sounds cool. All right, so for me, since I'm only doing 2 stitches with the background quilting, the first half is done. And can you see? Yeah, y'all can see it good on this camera. So you could see my first bit of background quilting is done. So now I'm going to go take this out the hoop and re-hoop it on this side, and you're not even going to be able to tell I did it in 2 hoopings. Same is going to be for our friends with the 5x7 hoop. You're going to end up doing this 4 times. You're not going to be able to tell. It's all going to look mesh and like it was with 1. Okay. All right. And had a little thread tail here, trim. And I'm going to reuse my tape for the other side. Now, because I actually have to remove the stabilizer to do my next step. I have to cut it. So I'm going to unhoop and use my scissors. First, let me cut this way. And I'm just cutting right next to the batting. Oops. Okay. And then there may be a way you can save this. Actually, I saved all my ones. Oops, cutting my batting on accident. I had these kind of strips last night when I was doing my practice run. I think I can take them and zigzag stitch them together and make a bigger piece of stabilizer later. Let's see. I forgot to put my phone on do not disturb. Do not disturb. Okay. All right. So, like I said, we got our first bit with the background quilting, and we trimmed our stabilizer off of it. So now rehoop stabilizer. I can go ahead and cut this. And then we'll trim this block later. So now I'm back to my strip of stabilizer. Okay. Make sure that's good and tight. This is just my little way of trying to keep my roll contained. Right. And where is my grid? I need my grid. Marker. Ruler. Okay. Spray. Now go back to your piece of fabric, and I'm gonna do my little thing with my ruler. It helps me kind of at least helps me fold it in the middle. When you have the batting on it, let me do it on a flat surface. When you have the batting on it, it's not as easy to fold as a piece of just quilting cotton. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm folding it good. And I got this line here as a guide. I could see from my old piece of my previous piece of stabilizer, so I'm going to use this as a guide to where I should put this. Something like that. Let's see if that lines up good. So there's that line. That line. That looks good. That looks good. Yeah, so it's good and centered. And now I'm gonna really press it down, and I'll reuse my tape from the last one just to make sure my fabric doesn't get sucked in too much from the quilting. Okay, and now I'm ready to go back to my machine and stitch the same design again. for me because I did the two background quiltings were the same size for me. It was 4 by 10. So if you're doing the 5 by 7 hoop and do your two 4 by 6s back to back, you know, side by side, so your design's like already loaded and ready. So I turn my laser on. It's a good bit off this time, but I moved the other one. So I'm gonna hit layout, move. Now every machine should have this where you can move you're essentially moving your design on your screen, but it's moving the needle. Is that right? I can't see. Yeah, that looks right. That right there. Okay, that looks good. Hit OK. Using the same thread and everything. Now I can just stitch. And now it's going to stitch that same background quilting again on this side. And when it's done, you won't be able to tell. All right. I love Linda says, Frankenstein, your stabilizer, always. Yes. All right, Linda's asking about the Main Street celebrations. Do you have to sign up? So when I post that first video, I'll put a link. I'll have a place on my website for it, and they'll have a spot there to download the little cheat sheet that I make. And whenever you download the cheat sheet, it's automatically going to put you on the email list for that particular sew along. And so every time I release a new video, I will email you and tell you that, hey, a new video's up. You can watch it whenever you want. Ooh, somebody's got pudding. I like that. All right. Oh, Rita sounds like me. She bought Main Street Celebrations 2 years ago. It's still in the box. Do you want to know how many things are still in the box in my craft room that I bought 2 years ago? I still have a scanning cut in the box from probably more than 2 years ago. I am terrible. So you are not alone. Okay, let's see. Terry is saying she didn't understand the clear blue tiles. Mine quilted right down the center, not on the side. Explain more, Terry. I don't understand what's happening as far as what you're telling me. I'm trying to understand. So did you take your fabric and like the main thing is you start with the actual size fabric you need, okay? And then you're going to use your tile to figure out how can I fill up this whole piece of fabric like a puzzle, okay? And for me, like this is an example with all the sizes. Where's my other sheet? Here we go. So that's the goal, is you want to fill up your piece. For me, I'm just focusing on the batting, whatever the size of batting is, not the whole piece of fabric. But you can do the whole thing if you want. How can I fill this up with tiles so that it will be covered in the background quilting design? Does that make sense? So depending on what you're using, I could do all of these. For me, I like to just keep it as simple as possible and the least amount of hoopings as possible. So since I have a 6 by 10 hoop, I'm like, oh, I can do this and this. So 2 hoopings and it will fill it up. If you have the 5 by 7 hoop, I could do this here and then do it here and do this here and move it here. And so when it's done, the whole thing will be covered. So that's what you're figuring out, kind of like a puzzle. You got different size pieces. Figure out which pieces work best to cover and fill the space that you're working with. Then you're going to want to hoop, make your marks for each of those spaces, and hoop it to where you're acting like this is the only area I'm embroidering. This is where I want my needle to go, right in the center. And then it should only stitch that area. Make sure you're uploading the correct design to go with the size tile that you chose for that area. Okay. let me know if that makes sense, and if you have something else to help me understand what went wrong. Let me see if Terry wrote again. Okay. Let's see, I'm just checking the comments. Oh, Aretha's like, she has a scan and cut and box too. Yay, I'm not alone. Oh, Linda too, yay. When quilting, are you using quilting thread? No, I'm still using embroidery polyester thread, and I'm still using my bobbin thread as well, just like when I'm embroidering. Now that's because no one's going to see the underside of this. I don't have my backing on it. We're going to do stitch in the ditch method to add backing to the front of our quilt. Now, when I did my nephew's quilt, where I made the traditional quilt sandwich of my top, then my batting, then my backing, and pinned it all, and did clear blue tiles to quilt the whole thing, I still use polyester thread because I don't have a collection of cotton threads, but I did the same matching top thread with bobbin. I wound a bobbin with my top thread so that they did match. Okay. For me, second half of my background quilting is done. Let's see if it translates well. I think you see it better on the other camera. This camera here that shows you the machine, this is my best camera, the most expensive one. So I think it works the best. But now you can see this whole thing is quilted. And even though I just did this as one design by itself, you can't tell where one design starts and the other one ends. So now it looks, our friends that have the 9.5 by 14 hoop, this is what their block is looking like right now, even though they did it all in one hooping. So that is what the clear blue tile method is. And it works because the way these designs are digitized. They are digitized in a way that it all flows together as long as you get your placement somewhat right. It's very forgiving. The placement doesn't have to be spot on, but it's the way the design is made. You can stitch it multiple times right next to each other, and it gives you that edge-to-edge quilting finished product. Okay, so now we are ready to actually stitch the sewing machine. Our background bit is ready, and it's got the batting already attached. So now we're gonna re-hoop again. We still have 2 more hoopings to get this done. Now then, I did these first 2 hoopings in the 6 by 10 hoop. If you're using the 5 by 7, you did 4. Now I'm gonna go to the 5 by 7 hoop and do 2 hoopings with the 5 by 7 hoop to make our sewing machine. So I'm going to unhoop this and put this hoop aside and grab my 5 by 7 hoop. So this particular design, the sewing machine embroidery applique design, this comes in 2 options. It comes in, apparently you could do it in a 6 by 10 hoop. Yeah. So for our friends that have the 6 by 10, you have the option of just hooping this in your 6 by 10 hoop and getting the whole sewing machine done in one run. I'm going to show the 5 by 7 method so you can see how it's split, and it's really not that complicated. All right, now we need to cut this stabilizer off. Okay, so Terry says, okay, so going back to Terry's problem that the clear blue tile didn't work. the way she wanted it to. My quilting pattern came out in the center instead of one on top and one on the bottom. And Terry, you're doing the clear blue tile. We said that already. So each clear blue tile, you have to remove your fabric with your batting and rehoop it. Does that make sense? Like I did with this one just now. Like I made 2 tile marks and I had to completely remove it from the hoop, remove the stabilizer, and now rehoop it in the next spot where I had my crosshair marks. Okay, so again, we can Frankenstein this together. Cut this strip too, and I'll have 3 strips. I could Frankenstein those together, and those would be a new bit of stabilizer. So yeah, the machine didn't move to the next position when I started quilting. So the machine is not going to move for you. You have to rehoop it. Make sure the needle is in the center of the new space that you're embroidering, and then hit sew, and it will stitch where it's supposed to stitch. Let me know if that makes sense. Okay, Marina said, okay, going back to the quilted jacket, beachcomber quilted jacket. Okay, I will, somebody remind me of that later so I can write it down. Okay. Yeah, Linda, I love Courtney at All Brands. I went to one of her classes, in-person classes, and I loved her. And I got all excited, and I still never went home and actually took my machine out the box because that's the story of my life. All right. Now, we have our quilted fabric ready to be appliqued now. So I'm going to take my 5x7 hoop and hoop my stabilizer. And we're going to set that aside for now. And we're going to go back to our fabric. Okay. Yeah, Terry. If you're on YouTube, you can back it up, even though it's live. Back it up and watch those parts again, how I realigned the marks in a new hooping with new stabilizer and lined it up to where it went right on top of this. And then it will stitch out this. So you definitely have to take it out completely and start with new hoop, new stabilizer, and now line up the next section that you made marks for. And then put it on the machine. Make sure the needle goes right where your mark is, and then it will stitch. Okay. Yes, she is very enthusiastic. I love her. I love her personality. She had me laughing the whole time. She was so much fun. Okay. We have now completed doing background quilting to our quilt block and are ready to applique. This is when having those extra PDF instructions that are specific to the 5x7 hoop printed out. Or if you are using the 6x10 hoop, the instructions are in the book. For both ways, it looks like in order to get the placement just right for both methods, you end up folding your fabric in a kind of strange way. And then you have it's going to stitch out some marks on your stabilizer, and within the instructions, and I'm going to show you in person, it's going to show you how to line up your now folded piece of fabric or your folded block onto the marks it's going to stitch on the stabilizer so that you have your placement perfect. But it looks like it's the same thing for the 6x10 hoop. So this should be easy to follow for both of y'all. So step number 1 is we have where the block is like horizontal, okay? And you're gonna fold the fabric block in half, okay? So something that helps me is my ruler to help make sure I'm actually getting the right line. And I have my clear blue tile marks right down the center. So I'm gonna put my acrylic ruler right next to that so I can fold both of those, this whole thing over, and then slide that out and know I have a real good line. Now this is going to be a little tricky to do because it's thicker with the batting, but we have it folded in half there, right sides together. Okay. Then you're going to fold this top half down, and you want to fold down 2.5 inches. So again, I'm going to use my ruler. And this is where I want my fold to be, something like that. So this is what you're working with. And then just double check. You got about 2.5 inches going down. All right. This is what's going to help you get your placement just right. And I'm going to use some clips right here to hold this in place. Okay. So this is what you're going to do to your block, whether you're doing the 6x10 hoop or the 5x7 hoop. You want to have this done. Okay. Now we're going to go to the machine, put our hoop on, and it's going to stitch a placement line. And then we are going to use that placement line to figure out exactly where to place our fabric, and then we'll unclip it and unfold it. So I'm going to take this to the machine. And I need to load the design. Okay, so for me, because I got the split design, I'm choosing the top half of the sewing machine. And you may want to choose a thread that is, where are my scissors? Here we go. A thread that is visible so that it'll be easy for you to line it up. So I will change to my darker gray, and that way y'all can see it better too, because on camera it's hard to see those light colors on the stabilizer. So it doesn't matter what color you stitch this step in, as long as you can see it. It's going to get covered up. So okay, got my design set. And the first step is that placement line. So I am going to lower my presser foot and stitch right onto the stabilizer. And so this is going to be the same for our friends with the friends with the 9.5 by 14 hoop. Y'all didn't have to figure out placement because y'all just went ahead and put your whole block down on there. So this is only for people with 5x7 or 6x10 hoop that we have this kind of strange folding placement step. Now let me double check my instructions. But no, this way. Okay. With the folded half, you want to line up with this line and the top fold over. So the halfway mark is lined up with this one. And where you had your little top fold over is going to line up with this one. So it is going to look like this. We can take this off the machine actually and go by the table so you could see that better, because we got to put some adhesive down. Okay, so y'all see this placement line. This was our original block. We folded it in half, and then we folded the top down. Now we're going to rotate it where the top half is on your left, and where we folded it down the middle is the bottom. And this L right angle that we made right here is going to line up with this L in the placement stitch. All right, for our friends that are doing the 9.5 by 14 machine, let me open up that design real quick and see if it has that placement line, because it's really not going to be necessary. Wait, that ain't the right one. This one. Yeah, so the first step that in your sewing machine, once you've, for friends with the 9.5 by 14 hoop, let me put this so you can see it. Okay, friends that are using the 9.5 by 14 hoop, they're going to open this for their background quilting. So they're ready to go. Their background quilting is already basted down. This is the step. You can skip this step and this step, because those two steps are specific for those with the smaller hoop. All right, so friends with the 9.5 by 14 hoop can skip step 1 and step 2 and go straight to the actual embroidering of the sewing machine, because these two are not needed. But these are helpful for those of us that had to fold our block and figure out placement just right. Those of us that had to pre-quilt our fabric with some sort of clear blue tile method before we even started. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so back to the smaller hoop option. We have our placement stitch. We are going to add some adhesive all around here. That'd be a glue stick or a spray. And we're going to line up that corner that we just talked about. And then we can unclip and unfold. There's your top fold. There's your bottom fold. And now you're going to rub that into place. And for us, the next step is that basting stitch. This is really going to hold our fabric in place and make sure it doesn't shift or anything. Okay, so I'm just looking at things, making sure it all looks good. Okay, and now we're going to go back to the machine and stitch that basting stitch. And since it's a basting stitch, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my favorite basting stitch thread, which is the water-soluble thread. Scissors. Okay, water-soluble thread. My fabric is where it needs to be. Lower the presser foot, and step 2 of the design is that basting stitch. Everything's good. All right. And now we actually start embroidering the sewing machine. And the first step, I'm using some dark gray thread for an accent that's on the side wheel of the sewing machine. So that can stitch. And then it does the accent of some bits on the side wheel, and it does what looks like is the needle coming out of the sewing machine. And the next color we're going to need after this is black. So I'm going to get my black thread ready. All right, so this block is going to take about 18 minutes to stitch out. The longest part is going to be the satin stitch outline of the sewing machine. So when that's going, oh, it has this as a different color, but I'm doing it as the same color. Yeah. So you have that, it's going to stop. So you have the option of making your needle a different color. Oh, I probably should have used the metallic thread. Oh well. I could do it now. Stop. Where's my metallic thread? Where's that? Oh, I gotta cut. Okay, let me do this. Cut. Even though I started sewing with the dark gray thread, it's okay because the metallic thread's going to go right on top of that because it was just the little outline. It'll get covered up easily. I had metallic thread the other day. Where did I put it? I didn't even think about that last night when I was stitching. I was just trying to get the whole placement thing right. Okay. We did this for another block. That was fun. Which one was it? One of the embroidery hoop blocks. But I have this silver metallic thread. That will be cute as the needle. I pulled my thread out already. Okay, I already started stitching, so I need to back up. So I'm gonna hit the needle plus minus and go back a whole color step, which will bring me to the beginning of the needle. Lower presser foot, stitch. Last time I did metallic thread, my machine didn't hate it. So let's hope it continues to feel that way. That's it. That's cute. It doesn't stand out like super lot on this gray fabric. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. It does stand out. You see it? That's the metallic needle on there. Yay, that's cute. So you can stitch it any color you want. But if you have some metallic thread, go ahead and grab it. Okay, now black thread. And this is going to be an applique step. And you're going to want to grab something out of your embellishment kit if you have it. So I'm going to load my black thread, and it's going to do the placement stitch for the hand wheel on the side of the sewing machine. And where is this? I'm using the sewing machine, the embroidery leather. Did I cut 2 pieces for this? I don't remember. So is this, I think this was all black embroidery leather. I like it because it's like flat but kind of shiny. I think this was the only piece that came in the embellishment kit. and it's also going to be the bottom of our sewing machine. So let me make sure I look at my embellishment kit and I'm not missing anything else in there. Let me show you the embellishment kit. There we go. So this was it. I think we already used the velvet for one. These are things for the other bonus projects. Okay, so this came in here, and let me double check. They have a spot with embellishments. Here we go. See here it has the cutting for the black leather. So I needed a 1.5 by 3 piece and then a 2 by 8. So just seeing the layout, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up this corner to go right over that hand wheel, or this corner, doesn't matter. And so I know I need this whole length for my bottom of my sewing machine. So I just want to know like right where to, how to lay the fabric on the wheel so that I don't mess up the other piece that I need from this same leather. So I'm going to lay it like this. So it's covering it, but I know I'm going to have this whole width of this leather up here for the rest of the project. Okay. All right, so that is there. And that's going to stitch. And this is just a bean stitch applique. So this is both the tack down right now and the finishing stitch all in one. So tack down and finishing. So now I'm going to go trim around that. Okay, so you can see my stitch around there. I can just quickly, some bigger scissors. I'll just cut this. No, that doesn't work. I need these scissors. Just trying to get the bulk of this out of the way. Okay, so now I'm gonna save this. This is gonna be the bottom of the sewing machine. And the reason why I really wanted to make sure is I didn't want to line up. So you saw how I went horizontal. I didn't want to make it to where I use this piece, and now that's cutting the whole width of this fabric, so it might not have been wide enough to cover the whole bottom of the sewing machine. So just that's why I wanted to go and double check where the cutting instructions were, because then I can see, okay, this is the direction they have it so that I get the most out of the fabric. So that little piece is poking out there. I usually, when something's a bean stitch, I usually don't cut it super close to the stitch line like I do with a satin stitch. Like satin stitch, I want to cut it close because I don't want my frayed fabric poking out through my satin stitch. But bean stitch, I like to cut it a little bit off. I can always go and make it a little bit tighter after if I wanted to. But here I can see that gray stitching for the piece of the hand wheel poking out on either side of my embroidery leather. Okay, now we'll go back to the machine and we'll start the applique of the sewing machine. And I will come back and answer questions in a second. I see some new things posted, but I haven't had a chance to sit and read them yet. Okay, so making sure my stabilizer's out of the way. All right, everything's good. The next step is the placement stitch for the sewing machine. Doesn't matter what color thread you use for this. I have black loaded, so I'm just going to go ahead and use black. And then you are going to grab the the pretty blue floral fabric if you bought the fabric kit, or whatever fabric you want the inside of your sewing machine to be. And this line, this stitch here is just showing us right where to put our fabric. Okay, so I can see the nice outline, and all I am doing is plopping my fabric right on top of that and just make sure all of that outline that I just stitched out is covered up. This fabric is patterned in a way that it may look silly if you have it tilted, so, or it may look cuter if it's tilted. So just pay attention to how your fabric is placed. If you're using, you know, something with lines, if you want your lines to look straight, make sure you're putting it on your outline straight going across. Okay, once that's on there, you don't need to do anything special to adhere it or to tape it. I don't think it's necessary. And you can also stitch this step here, which is the tack down stitch, in any color. It's going to get covered up. So again, I'm not going to rethread my machine if I don't have to. So I'm just going to continue with the black. If you want to use a stiletto while this is stitching and kind of just make sure your fabric is staying nice and flat and not getting bubbled up, you can do that. That's what I do instead of taping or adhering anything down. Just don't put your finger in there. All right, and it's going to go around again now to really make sure it's secure. And the next step, normally I trim right after a tack down stitch, but they have some decorative pieces that are the inside of the sewing machine that we can go ahead and stitch before we take it off and trim it. What's next? The detail of the sewing machine. I think we need the lights gray, or you can maybe go back to metallic if you wanted to. No, this is that that circle. I don't know if you could see that circle that is in the middle of the sewing machine. That's the next step. So I think the gray would be better than the metallic for that bit. It might be too much stitching for the metallic because it's a bit dense, that spot. But again, you can use any colors you want. This is going to stitch that circle and a little bar going across the bottom of your sewing machine, just like a fill stitch bar. Okay, lower and go. Let's see the tail. My thread didn't go all the way down, so I'm going to flip it before it gets caught in something I don't want it to. All right, so this is going to take a few minutes to stitch, and it's just going to do a big filled in circle and then a little filled in line across the bottom. Now I can go answer questions while that's stitching. Okay. Backing up to I don't remember what was the last thing I saw. Okay, we were talking about the scan and cut and Courtney. Okay, Retha's asking, so I hope I made that clear just now, Retha. So you don't need those two first placement lines showing you where to put your background fabric, but you do still stitch that sewing machine placement line like I just did. And so you know right where to put your applique fabric. Yes, so you're still stitching that. So as far as the sewing machine embroidery design goes, for those of y'all that use the 9.5 by 14 hoop, you could skip those first 2 steps of this sewing machine embroidery design that show you placement for the background fabric, because you already have your background fabric basted into place, but you do still need to stitch that sewing machine placement line. All right. Hi, Anita. Glad we're doing the double hooping option to go over. My sister is learning and now I can help her. Yay. All right. Talk about people having the stellaire. And All Brands has some special shows showing you about the scan and cut and the stellaire. I'll have to check those out. Hi, Jenny. Linda says she's not doing this project right now, but it is helping answer her questions about placement. Yay. I think a lot of things that we're doing in this project are going to be super helpful for other projects. So even if I wasn't stitching this project and I was watching somebody else stitch it, it would help me a lot prepare for another large project like this. Yes. Oh, yes. Becky Thompson is a great resource for the scan and cut. I watch her videos too. And I know she's great at the scan and cut. And her whole, I love her snap applique method. I will get there one day when I make a real quilt. Okay, Anita's with me too. We haven't taken the scan and cut out the box. Okay, maybe that'll be our next goal after these couple sew-alongs, is we're all going to open up our scan and cut together. All right. Okay, Aretha answered her own questions. Back on track. Yay. Linda is slowly learning her stellaire. It's good to see it being used here. I love my stellaire. It is probably my go-to machine in my craft room, with the exception of embroidering clothing. I like to use my free arm machines when I embroider clothing, but everything else, anything that's flat, my stellaire is my go-to. My multi-needle is helpful. Like, it probably would have been easier to stitch some of these all thread designs, like the scissors and the So Happy block. And I think that, yeah, those are all thread. Those would probably been simple to set up on my 6 needle machine so that it would just switch the colors for me. But if I'm doing applique, I might as well. I end up just sitting at my stellaire with it. Oh yeah, Anita likes my silicone stiletto. It's in the supply section. And you got it with some of your Amazon points. Yay, good. I have some Amazon points too I was using yesterday. I bought myself. Totally not sewing related, but like a silicone face scrubber washer thing. I did that today. But yeah, I love my silicone. Oh, it's also silicone, huh? It is maybe related somewhat. The stiletto is great. It's made by Clover. I do need to buy myself a new one. I will tell you this tip, to be a little more gentle with the silicone tip than I was. I don't know what I did, but next I'm gonna order another one and I will be more gentle with it. But my silicone bit broke right here. I could probably super glue it back, but just know that it is, I've had this for years. So, I mean, I guess it's just wear and tear, but this bit can break off. So just be mindful of that. But I love it because I could use it to press my screen. I press my stuff. I could use the harder end to press stuff. That's probably what I was doing. I was using this end here when I should have been using this and saving this for softer things. Oh goodness, Rita took a By Annie tote class over the weekend. I want to take a By Annie class. I have some of her patterns. I think it came with video instruction. I should probably watch this. But her table mate sewed her finger. Oh my goodness. Thank God his instructor was a nurse. Yes, I hope she's okay. I hope her finger is okay. I know that's always a big fear of mine. The stiletto link, Anita, if you go to the page on my website that is for the sew along, like the original week 1 page, that has all the supplies on there, and and the stiletto is on there. Okay, so what's next? We stitched the pretty silver. Next is a black outline we can do before we take the hoop off and trim things. So I'm going to switch back to black. And I think after this step, I'm going to take the hoop off and trim my fabric. Okay. All right, just a little black accent. And then I am doing the actual satin stitch of the sewing machine in navy. So I'm going to get that ready, but we got to trim our applique fabric before that step. Okay, back to questions. Okay. Rita says open and use the scan and cut. Yes, ma'am. We're going to do that. So Linda said Amazon points. So I think it's my credit card. I have Capital One credit card, and for some reason I have points with that. I don't know if there's something in particular I'm buying with it or just because I'm spending money in general. But it has points, and those points I can redeem on Amazon. So maybe a specific credit card. All right, so now we're going to trim. Okay, stitch that last thing. We'll take the hoop out and we'll go trim out the sewing machine. Let me clean up my space. Put that over here. And here is my block. And it's a little hard to see, but the sewing machine is outlined in black. Kind of going around. So you'll see it better once I start trimming, but get your favorite applique scissors. And this one, since this is going to be a satin stitch, I am going to trim as close to that placement or tack down stitch line as I can. Oh, I'm really happy I stopped my machine and changed it to the metallic thread. I like that. For some reason, I had in my head that this was one stitch step because it had it as the same color. But the machine, even though it's the same color, the machine still stopped with the way that Kimberbell, I guess, digitized it. Okay. All right, so our sewing machine is trimmed and it's beautiful. I love that. Okay, so now we'll go back to the machine and it's going to do the satin stitch going all the way around. That's going to take a few minutes. While that is stitching, maybe we'll get everything ready for our next block and have it all set up. Did I change the camera? No. Change the camera. There you go. Now you can see things. And change the thread color. Okay, navy, I'm doing it in navy blue. You could do it whatever you want. It'd be pretty as pink too, I think. And go. And this is the longest step of this design. And it's just going to do a pretty nice satin stitch all the way around. Okay. Ooh, Anita got the Amazon Prime credit card, so every purchase gets points. Yay. Linda checks out with Shop. I use that too, and the credit card, and it gives you points too. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Anita's got her brand new stiletto on the way. Money well spent. Hope to save my fingers. Yes, that is the whole point of stiletto. We don't put our fingers in there. I know, Linda, I love the fabric for the sewing machine as well. That all came with the sewing kit. I see my stabilizer, like my extra stabilizer going all over the place over here. So let me just have that. Maybe a little more happy there, but it's not going under the hoop, so that's what matters. Yeah, Anita, that floral fabric came with the fabric kit. I'm trying to see where else did we use. I think that's the only spot on the quilt that uses that particular fabric. They have the white version of that fabric is here. This filler block for section 3 is that same pattern but with a white background. And that one too. That's the same. But yeah, this where the sewing machine is going to be, that's the only place where that fabric with the navy blue is at. I'm sitting in my chair now because my legs are tired. That's why I look so short. Okay. So Anita says she has shop points too. Never really knew what that was. I just finally downloaded the shop app. So what that is it's happened like several times when I go to check out, even like where I bought, like even some of my digitizing embroidery design places where I buy embroidery designs, it'll come up with shop and and like when I buy things that are physical and get mailed to me, I can track it. And so I finally clicked on it the other day because I see it all the time and I always just exit out. But I downloaded the app on my phone and I'm happy I did because it helps me keep track of all the random things that I order because I could see a list of them, even if they're from like a bunch of different websites. Because it used shop at checkout, I now have a list of all the things I ordered. And so it's helpful. And according to the app, I have collected some shop cash, but I have not redeemed that shop cash yet. Let me look at my phone and see. I don't even know where the app is on my phone. I got way too many apps on here. I have $2.69. But I did want to ask y'all one thing. One of the first things that I bought with the shop app was way back 8 weeks ago, more than 8 weeks ago, when I told y'all about that website that had all the glide thread colors, and you could buy half-yard increments of all of the fabric that is on this in this quilt in the fabric kit. And the name of the website was Oh My Crafty Supplies. So I ordered some fabric and some thread from them. Let's see, on before March 12th, somewhere around there. And it's never came. I never got an email saying it was even shipped. When I go to their website and check it, it still says processing. I've emailed the Oh My Crafty Supplies several times, their customer support email. I've messaged them at their Instagram account. Nothing. Like, they don't respond to anything, and I have no way of knowing if they're ever going to ship my order or if I could even cancel it and get refunded. So I know someone has recommended that shop to me before. Oh, My Crafty Supplies. They sell embroidery designs as well, but that's a digital download. You get it right away. But has anyone bought physical products from them before and had a bad experience? Because I think I could officially say that now. I'm having a bad experience. Let's see. Looking back. Oh, I'm so sorry, Joanna. She was supposed to go to an awesome retreat with Becky Thompson, but had to cancel. I'm so sorry for your loss. Okay, Jenny says, going back to the shop app, use your points. They do expire. Okie dokie. That's good to know. Thank you. Ah, okay. I'm not the only one. Linda is also having problems getting a response from Oh My Crafty. Let me know if you hear from them. Lori's asking, do I think I got scammed? I mean, I guess I kind of feel that way, but I think they're a legitimate business. I think maybe there's just a glitch in their system, that my order's not getting processed. Let me show you the website so you can see if you've been here before. Here. So, Oh My Crafty Supplies. They have physical stuff as big as machines, apparently. You can get grease machines. I don't know if they sell embroidery machines and stuff too, but they sell embroidery designs, which that's all good and fine. You get those right away. But I ordered thread, glide. I ordered a couple glide threads, and they have, sorry, where's the fabric button? Fabric that you could buy in half-yard increments. I bought, I think, some of this white fabric. I like white fabric with patterns. But if you scroll here, you'll notice these are the fabrics from our quilt here. I think this top row, oh, look, here's the pretty blue floral fabric. All of those are from our quilt that we're working on. I think on this page they have some too. So I told y'all at the beginning of this sew along, if you wanted to go order just some fabric instead of the whole fabric kit, you could do that. But now I feel bad for telling people about it because apparently they don't ship your stuff. And I've tried contacting them through here and through just emailing them by support, and they have not responded at all. So if anyone else has better luck, please let me know. And if you talk to them, tell them I emailed them. Okay, Linda said she put in an order the 9th of April, waiting. Had trouble before, but think their designs are good. Order clearance fabric from Kimberbell, yeah. All right, yeah, so we will see. Okay, oh, we're done with the long satin stitch. Oh, it's pretty, very pretty. Okay, the last step is special for our 5x7 hoop friends, and it's a registration mark to help you place for the next hooping. Okay, and you want to I'm gonna just keep doing this in the navy thread so that it's very visible, so I can see right where I want to put it. So that was the only recommendation, that you do it in a thread color that is visible. But it's going to get covered up, so it doesn't matter what color it is, even if it's a dark navy. And I have to say, this next step of how we're going to figure out right where to move the fabric is pretty cool. It's nothing. I think I've tried this method before with a hat, but I've never done it with fabric. So I think you're going to like it. I think it helps a lot with figuring out placement. Okay, so this is done. We have to take the hoop off the machine, unhoop it, remove the stabilizer, and re-hoop with new stabilizer. Where am I? Here. Okay. I see Joanna saying I did. I checked. I couldn't even remember what payment method I used for that because it didn't say in my receipt that they emailed me, but I double checked. I paid with PayPal. So luckily with PayPal, you can, what's the word? Dispute charges. So I started that process, which I hate to do that because I've had people do that to me with my business and my courses. And I've told people, like, because I have a guarantee on my two online courses I have. One is how to use an embroidery machine, and the other is how to use Embrilliance software. I have for the like a guarantee, like if you are not happy with the course, let me know. I'll give you your money back. But I've had people buy my course and then like literally that same day or the next day go to PayPal and say, I didn't want this and do that. And that makes your business look bad on, you know, reputation wise with PayPal. So I hate to do that kind of stuff. But I felt like this is the just cause. This was what that whole bit was meant for not getting. I waited, 2 months and it's still not coming. But I've contacted those people that have done that to me on PayPal. I've told them, like, all you had to do was email me. Tell me you weren't happy. I will fix it and give you your money back if you feel like it, it's not worth it. All right. So we've removed the stabilizer on that bit. And then later on, we can go and remove that basting stitch right there I did in the water soluble thread. We'll do that later. But you want to have your block back to being free again and get your 5x7 hoop again and rehoop it with new stabilizer. Okay. Now, we are going to go back to the machine. We'll load the second half of the sewing machine, and it's going to do some marks on your stabilizer. And then I'm going to show you the cool trick to make sure those marks line up with this mark, because it's unlike the stuff we've done already with the folding and everything. It's pretty cool. Okay, where do we want to go? Back to the sewing machine. And I'll just bring just the hoop. And I need to load the second design. Okay, so I'm gonna go home. Now, if you were doing this in the 6x10 hoop, you didn't have to worry about none of this stuff because your hoop's a little bit bigger to where you can go ahead and stitch that bottom. Oh, I totally forgot something fun I wanted to do. It's not too late. I can still do it. I'm sorry if you're doing the 6x10 hoop right now and I'm telling you this too late. I wanted to add some stitching, some fun personalization to the bottom of the sewing machine. Totally forgot about that. Okay, you should be seeing my Embrilliance. That's the big 6x10 design. I need to find this. This is the next step for us using the 5x7 hoop. It is just the bottom little bit of the sewing machine and where you're going to put your little flap of fabric hanging off of it. So let me turn my hoop, turn my design so things are like, oh wait, that's not what I wanted. This one, rotate. Okay, so this is the bottom of the sewing machine. I wanted to put something fun. You could use your lettering design and put something fun right here that you will see. It will get stitched on top of the black leather. This little rectangle here is going to be black leather, and it'll get stitched on top. And I thought something fun, since I did a block already with Carly Bell, I thought it would be fun to add, see if it lets me fit sip and stitch. I doubt it'll let me fit sip and stitch squad. That's probably too much. So I'm gonna just do sip and stitch. And maybe this is a native font, so that comes with Embrilliance, block condensed. So I can manipulate it and make it smaller without, it'll recalculate all the stitching and the underlay because it's a native one. How does that look placement wise? So disregard this. I'm trying to look, if I look at my test sew, you could see that box. This is that registration mark. What's actually, I kind of want it to be to where it's going to be under here. So I want it to go past that registration, or maybe even end in that registration mark and be a little bit over. I think it'll line up nicely. Let's go back. Yeah, I think that's going to end up looking nice. It looks like it's kind of centered from here to here. I'm kind of just eyeballing this. I could maybe make it a, oh no, what did I do? Oh, stupid brilliance. It keeps kicking me out. Reopen. Yes. All right, give me a second because my brilliance quit on me. And I probably gotta go open that design again. Oh, here it is. It didn't disappear forever. Okay. I think I can make it a little bit bigger. Something like that. I think that looks good. So yeah, I'm just eyeballing this. All right, so this is stitch. That's the registration mark. Then this is placement for the leather. No, this helps you figure out where the your fabric's gonna go. Tack down your fabric. That's for the leather. Then this gets stitched on top of the leather. Yeah, so we want this to be last. Okay, so I'm gonna stitch this instead of it being by itself. What do I want to do? I want to send this. I'm gonna do sewing machine. I'll name it 3 because I already have a sewing machine 2. Okay. And hopefully it sends with no errors. Tell me you sent, yay, file sent to machine. Okie dokie. So yeah, this is another fun thing that we can personalize. If you want to add you can even have it put brother or baby lock if you have a name for your machine. Something fun if you want to put sip and stitch too. If you're not familiar, sip and stitch is the name, what we call our live tutorials that I do once a month on my YouTube channel. They're really fun. And those are shorter tutorials. Okay, I want to go back to the machine and then let me check the comments while all the ones that I missed. Okay. Let's see, Linda asks, is my background quilting from Kimberbell? Yes, I bought the background quilting that is specific for this quilt. They had a bundle that they made with intentions of being used with this quilt. Yeah, Linda said you can name your machine. Her Stellaire is Mini Bobby Brown. That is awesome. Oh, Millie Bobby Brown, Mini Bobby Brown. I love it. I am so in love with this project. Yes, Rita, I am too. Okay, now let's go back. Wi-Fi. I told y'all today was going to be long. I don't know if we'll end up sewing everything together now. Okay. Sewing machine, bottom with the sip and stitch. And it's rotated the opposite way. I can fix that quickly by hitting edit, rotate 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Now I have it going that way. Embroidery. Okay. I got my little personalized bottom of the sewing machine. I'm going to lower my presser foot and stitch the first step right onto the stabilizer, and that is the registration marks. That's going to help me line up my, halfway finished block onto this stabilizer to sew in that bottom. Now, if you were already stitching your sewing machine in either the 9.5 by 14 hoop or the 6 by 10 hoop, and it's still in the hoop, you haven't taken it out yet, and you're like, oh man, I wish I would have personalized the bottom, you can do it. And all you have to do is do like what I did, open your design in Embrilliance, add your little personalization, save it, send it to your machine. If you didn't move your design once you opened it, right? We just opened it and stitched it. We didn't move the needle around. So you could technically go out of the design you have open now, open up, you've finished stitching it, right? Go to your home screen, open up your new personalized one, and then skip all the way to the end to that last little personalization step that you made and stitch it right in the hoop. As long as it's still in the hoop, you can add that to it. Okay. Tell me if that makes sense. Because I know I've done that before. I'll be in the middle of stitching something and I realized I either spelled something wrong or wanted to do something else. As long as I didn't move the machine in the hoop, like I didn't move the design, like remember how we were doing with the clear blue tiles, we were making sure the needle moved right over our spot. As long as you didn't do that, when you open up the design again, it will be right in the center, right where everything else already stitched. And I could pick up at the part I changed, if that makes sense. Let me know. Okie dokie smoky. So you have your stabilizer with your new registration marks. And what we want to do is line up these little registration marks with these registration marks. But you could try and eyeball it and get it right where you want it. But I liked Kimberbell's little tip. Now, the only problem is I don't have regular old flat bottomed thumbtacks. That is what they're recommending. Get regular old flat bottom thumbtacks. And they probably even almost look, thought about this yesterday, but I didn't think it's going to work, but let's try it. Something that looks like a snap. You know how I use my snaps for my projects? This is what a thumbtack looks like, right? What they want you to do is turn your hoop over, find the corner, right where the little L of your registration mark, find that little corner and carefully push your thumbtack through that. So when it pokes up on the other side, you got a pokey coming through that little corner. Unfortunately, my little snaps are not going to work because they're too thick. They're definitely not going to go through this fabric with the batting. So what I did last night is just use pins. The problem is they don't stay as nicely as probably thumbtacks do. But I'm going to go take a pin and poke it right through that corner on both of them. And they said what you can do to even make sure it shouldn't move if you're poking it through. But if you're worried about it moving, you could take a piece of tape and do that. But just watch you not pushing on your stabilizer too much. I think I have to hold it up because I'm using such a long thing. If you're using thumbtacks, you could probably just have it flat down. Okay, something like this. and your pin is poking straight up in the two little corners of the registration marks. Do y'all see that? That's what's happening. Okay. And now, looking on the back side of your block, you want to line up that pin to go right on the underneath corner of this registration mark. So I'm just holding the pin here and making it poke through that corner. And I can see my threads on the bottom, and I could see it from the top, and I'm not doing a great job, but I'm trying, probably being too, it don't need to be perfect, but I'm still want it to be perfect. Let's try this. There we go, that's close. All right, so I'm poking it through on that side and this side. There we go. And now I push it down like this. So you see my pins are coming up, and they're coming up right through the corner of those little registration marks. Isn't that cool? And now I know that my block is right lined up where it needs to be. But I need to do some things to make sure it stays where I want it to. So I'm going to put some glue right here. Maybe put some glue right here. Now be careful when you're pressing this down that you don't actually stick yourself with the pin that is poking straight up right now. Okay, and then turn it over and take your pin out. I don't know how necessary the tape is. I didn't use the tape last night when I did this. Just pull your pin out. Boop. And watch it doesn't fall. Oop, I got it. I didn't move it. Okay. And now you know you have this floated in the right exact spot that you need to stitch the bottom of your sewing machine. Does that make sense? And I don't have any, can't really tape it anywhere else other than right here. So I'll just do that just to make sure it's staying where I want it to. And now I go bring it back to the machine. And you're going to want to grab some of the pieces, which is this sewing machine has what looks like a cute little piece of fabric. Did I change the camera? Yeah. Cute little piece of fabric, like looks like it's hanging off the machine going down. So you grab that, and you're going to need that black embroidery leather that we used earlier. And this is the one piece of fabric that we didn't put the Pella on SF101 on the back. They did say what you can do is put some fray check on the edges of this if you don't want it to fray, but I think it's fine. So I'm just going to leave it. Okay. I uploaded my design. Okay, the next step is a placement stitch, not only for this folded piece of fabric, but also for your leather. So you just stitch it. It can be stitched with any color. So I got, what do I have on? Navy blue still? Yeah, I still have navy blue on. So I'm going to stitch that. Okay, and that looks perfect. I could tell by this stitch that I lined up my fabric just right because it went right at the bottom of my applique piece, nice and straight. Okay, now I may take this off so you can see better. Let's go back to the craft table so y'all see this step good. Okay, so this was the placement stitch that I just did. And you see this little angle? You're going to take your fabric and you're just going to line it up right there. But you want to do wrong side down, wrong side up, blah, 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 wrong side up. And it's going to do a little stitch line here, and it's going to fold over after. Okay, so right sides together, wrong side facing up, it's going to fit right in this little, it's like a little guide showing you right where you want your fabric to be. And we'll do the next stitch, and that's going to allow it to fold over and look cute. Okay, that makes sense? Let's go stitch that part. Again, I keep second guessing myself that I actually changed the camera. Okay. All right, I'm gonna make sure that is right where I want it to be. I'm gonna use my stiletto. You could tape it if you want to. Again, doesn't matter what color thread you use for this part. And now this is gonna tack down my little cute piece of fabric hanging off my machine. Okie dokie. What's next? Next is the actual applique of the embroidery leather. I'm going to change my thread to black now. So this is basically going to be your combination tack down finishing stitch, just like the hand wheel. We already have a placement stitch that we can see, so we know right where to put our embroidery leather. And you want to keep your cute little piece of fabric still wrong side facing up, or right sides together. You want to keep this just like it is and out of the way, because we're going to put this on here now. So this is the embroidery leather, and you just want to cover up your placement stitch, make sure all the sides are covered, have your black thread, and now it's going to do a bean stitch, which again serves as our both tack down. Oh wait, I didn't thread my needle. That would be helpful. Let me hit cut. Let me fix this. Yeah, go where you're supposed to. Thread the needle. That is a very important step. All right, and I'm going to back up because it started stitching a little bit. I'm going to back up a whole color step, which will bring me to the very beginning of this step I was working on. Now lower my presser foot and stitch. And we're going to have to be super careful when we trim this embroidery leather that we don't accidentally cut our pretty little accent fabric that hangs off the machine. I hear something funny. Is my thread shedding? I'm looking through my machine to see if I can see like a little bird's nest. I don't know. Stitching looks okay. Or maybe it's skipping stitches. Is that what's happening? Okay. So that is done. Now we have the fun part of figuring out what would be the best color to do the sip and stitch letters. Let's do, should we do, looking at my colors, let's see. We could do the mint. Mint is one of my brand colors. Let's see. And they have mint in the design. I think mint would be good. I was thinking pink, but then we're going to have this pinky red fabric next to it, so maybe a more contrasting color would be better. Yeah, I think I like the mint. I'm going to do that. So it's light. It'll be light against the black, but stand out next to the fabric and still coordinate with the sewing machine. All right. So yeah, since I personalized my sewing machine, I have one more step, and that's my little wording. And this is what I was saying earlier. If you were stitching live with me and you were already, you know, done with this part or just about to stitch the applique, you know, finish what you have, then put the new design up with the wording on it, and then just skip to this step. Everything should be placed just the same, and it will stitch right where it's supposed to. Thread the needle. And go. I hope this, okay, so where the needle is now, yeah, that's gonna look okay. I was thinking for a second it might be too close to the fabric, but it's not. Okay. I'm gonna pause it because I got a tail. Okay. Yay, I'm excited about this. It's gonna be cute. All right, I can check the comments now. Okie dokie. Yes, Anita said someone is a genius to come up with this technique to rehoop. Yes, I totally agree. I was like very excited when I was reading the instructions and like thinking about it in my head. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Now I can say I've done something similar. I think it was like back in one of my first sip and stitches. I was trying to figure out how to get a design on a hat right where I wanted it. And I used the needle to go right through the center seam of a hat, and that helped. But I've never used it for a project like this before, so I love it. All right, Anita asks, how's the Elmer's glue working? Is it gumming up my machine? I have not had any trouble with it. Any trouble. I've been using the same needle, I think, throughout this whole project, which is probably not good advice because you should change your needle more often than me. But yeah, it's working. No problems. Oh yeah, Linda's talking about rain and fire threats. Yeah, keeping those fire threats down. Marina loves the mint color. Yay! I love it too. I still haven't finished drinking my coffee this morning. Okay. The only thing I will say with the faux leather, it's not as forgiving. Like and because I got batting underneath this too, you're gonna see some dips where the stitching is, but it doesn't look bad. It's gonna stand out. It's gonna be cute. Oh, I did drink all my coffee. There's nothing left in my cup. Okay, so note to self, just this block, it took me over 2 hours to explain. Sorry about that. Let's see if we can get this dress form block done quickly. Oh, let's set it up. I forgot all about that. Let's set it up. Okay, let's go to Embrilliance. Okay, Embrilliance. Open up a new thingamabob. I have a 6x10 hoop already. Okay, 6x10 hoop. And where's my cheat sheet? I need my cheat sheet to tell me what I'm doing. Okay, dress form block, geometric 7, 4x8. So I need to go to my designs. This is the quilting designs, geometric 7, embroidery files. Now we're going back to block by block. Doesn't matter what format. And I'm looking for 4x8, this one. Drag and drop. Okay, so that's that. And then I want to put the dress form right on top of it. Where am I? Embroidery files. Doesn't matter what format. So happy. And here's the dress form. The dress form is actually a 5x7 design. So if you don't have a 6x10 hoop, you would just do just like we did with the sewing machine block and pre-quilt your fabric before, and then just place your piece of pre-quilted fabric float it right on the middle of your hoop, and then stitch this on top. So that technique that we did with the sewing machine is applicable to several blocks with showing you how to pre-quilt your fabric. All right, because I cut my batting to perfectly fit in my placement stitch, I always go and delete steps 2 and 3. So I just have a placement stitch for the batting and then a basting stitch for my background fabric. Do that, and then we'll stitch the dress form, which is a simple applique, but it's fun because it has some foam behind it to make it poke out. All right, so we are done stitching. I'm gonna go get that off the machine. And I wonder if I have enough stabilizer to do my 6x10 hoop. I don't know. All right, and we're going to trim this piece, and you can trim it a little bit away from your stitch line if you want to. I'm just going to trim the bottom bit for now and move on. And I could come back and finish trimming this when the dress form is stitching. Okay. So I'll fix that. It's not great. Okie dokie. Unhoop. I can take this piece of tape. But there's our finished sewing machine block. And we did it all in 5x7 and a little bit of 6x10 hooping. Okay, got a trim stabilizer. Let's see if I have enough to use this for my last hooping. You know, I probably don't. Nope. A little shy. I can Frankenstein. Let's see. That'll work. Let's see. I don't have my sewing machine. I have a little Juki machine behind me. I'm gonna just do a straight stitch on that real quick where y'all can't see, but it's fine. I usually like to do a zigzag stitch, but okay. It is with purple thread. I just went and sewed that on there. So now I have a longer piece of stabilizer. And it will work. Hopefully. Did it good enough? Okay, yes. See, and it's just that top bit. It ain't even some that's going to be stitched through, but just enough so that my stabilizer is, my hoop is going through it. Okay. All right, so this is hooped, and I need to grab my little folder for this block. Little envelope-y. And also, I never looked at thread colors yet. So, and oh, I don't think I sent the design to the machine either. Okay, let's get it together. I got my thing with my supplies for this hoop. Now let me go back to Embrilliance I'm going to hit utility, Wi-Fi to brother, name it dress form, and hit OK. All right, and let me see what thread colors I'm going to use. I need black and navy, and that's it. Black and navy. I already have those by my machine. Okay, camera is on the right thing, I think. Machine. All right. So go to home, go to OK, embroidery, Wi-Fi. Come on. Please wait a while. My machine is literally telling me I'm not patient. Okay. I'm scrolling. Dress form. Boom. Set. Embroidery. I have mint thread on. That's fine. Lower presser foot and go. And this is going to show me right where to put my batting. So here's my batting. Got my glue stick. And then my next step is going to be using my water-soluble thread that I like to use for the basting stitch. So get that ready. And threaded. Okay. Now, carefully take my hoop off the arm. Make sure it's on a flat surface. And add some glue to where my batting is going. So if this is your first time catching it live and haven't watched the other bits of the sew along, this is how I pretty much did every other block. Is I stitch placement line for the batting. When the block fits in the hoop all together in one hooping, then this is what you do. Place my batting, then take my background fabric and just have it right on top of my batting as centered as your eyeball can do. Like so. Okay. And then back to the machine, and I did forget what color. Reference my cheat sheet, and it tells me dress form. We did geometric 7, and we're doing it in yellow. Do I have yellow? This is yellow. The background quilting is in yellow. So I got that ready. Okay, but the next step is the basting stitch, which we do in the water-soluble thread. And you see, if you cut your fabric to the guidelines in the instruction booklet, you're cutting your background fabric a lot bigger than is needed. So it's very forgiving where you place it on top of your batting. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered. Okay. Now, put your color of choice that you want to do your background quilting in. In my case, I'm doing like a goldy color, which I did for anything that was kind of registered as yellow in the book. I use this goldy color. If you're using glide thread, it's called buttermilk, I think. Okay. Lower and go. So this is the background quilting. And then I think I need black thread after this, so I will get that ready. All right, looking back at the comments. Do you think a water-soluble topper will help the leather? I don't know, because it's not the same. I want to say I've tried it before. With embroidering faux leather, you're going to get puncture marks. It's not moving around like woven or stretchy materials where your satin columns can get a feathered look. With the embroidery vinyl, you kind of, what you see is what you get. I don't think a water soluble topper will help all that much for making your satin stitch columns crisper. But I do always say it doesn't hurt if you want to put some on there. It never is going to mess, water soluble topper is not going to mess it up. It's worth a shot. I want to say I've tried it before and I didn't see it really helping, but it doesn't hurt it. All right, next is black, and that is like the stand that the dress form is on. Ooh, and while this is stitching, I need to go find my flexi foam and cut a piece. All right, down and go. All right, so that's the stand. I have flexi foam, and I'm guessing my flexi foam, whoops, tripping on things here. This is the piece for the applique of the dress foam, and the flexi foam is going behind it. So I'm going to cut a piece of flexi foam that is the same size as this piece of fabric while that's stitching. Okay, done with that. Okay, Rena said, I almost cut too close to the leather. Just for fun and something different, I am going to use variegated thread to quilt the dress form. I think that's a great idea. Great idea. I love variegated thread for quilting. Okay. All right, Retha. Thanks for joining us today. See you next week. All right. So while that is stitching, let's go ahead and finish up my sewing machine block. I need to finish cleaning up. So trimming my leather. And this is the part where we got to be super careful, right? We don't want to trim this fabric on accident. Okay, I'm just watching my scissors as I get close. Make sure, yeah, it's on top. Yeah, I should be good. Okay. I'm going to trim this bottom one a little bit more. There we go. All right. So now I could do this. Oh, and I can trim this stabilizer. Okay. So the back of this is all trimmed. Front of this is done. And now it's getting out all of these. No, I haven't tried my Tide marker in a while. So this is water removable. This disappears with water. I find you really have to soak it to make it disappear with water. Now, I haven't tried this with the Kimberbell. Oh yeah, a Tide pen gets it off like immediately with just a dab versus like soaking the block in water, washing it. So I can get all of these marks off without having to soak it. So I don't think I have to do the outline, but maybe I'll do it. Okay, where are we? We finished with the stand for the dress form. So now is the placement stitch for, I think, both the flexi foam and the applique. And it can be done in any color. So I'm gonna just leave the black on and do that. And let me double check the instructions. So it's a two-step process. First, we tack down the flexi foam and trim it. Then we tack down the applique fabric and trim it. So that is the placement. So all I have to do is put my flexi foam right on top. Just make sure it's covering it all up. You can tape it if you're worried about it moving. And then do your next step, in which is going to tack it down. Okay. It's really going to make sure it stays where it's supposed to be by going around twice. And we're going to trim this just like an applique. Okay, and just get it as close to that stitch line as you can. This is cute. This gives a lot of dimension to your block, I find. We did the same kind of method with the pin cushion block, and I love that one. Okay, so trim the flexi foam, and now we're going to go put the applique fabric right on top of that. Let me double check the instructions because it looks like it's got another placement step, and if that's the case, it's not needed. Okay, so stitch trim fabric. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, because it has 3 more steps. Okay, so I'm just going to put the applique fabric right on top of my dress form flexi foam area. And again, this step doesn't matter what color. It's going to get covered with a nice big wide satin stitch. And this kind of just molds right to where the flexi foam was. Let's see, what is this next step? This is another placement step. I don't think this is needed, so we could skip this. So apparently that step I just did was a placement to show you where to put this fabric, but I think it was very obvious where to put that fabric. And then now this step that it's on now is a tack down for this, but we've done that. So I'm going to skip ahead to the satin stitch, but I have to trim this first. So we're going to trim this just like we did the flexi foam. Okay. Okie dokie. So that is now trimmed. And then the last step is going to do a nice satin stitch all around here. And this is now when you want to color, you want to load the color thread that you want for that outline. I'm going to do navy blue. Yeah, it really makes it pop. I saw someone type that. Definitely. Literally, it pops out. All right, navy blue. Pull my old thread out. Okay, new thread in. Thread the needle. I'm going to push my hoop all the way in and lock it. Lower presser foot. And we are stitching the last thing of the inside the quilt. Okie dokie, okie. So, what did I miss in the comments? All right, Marina said this design would look awesome on the back of a jean jacket. Yes. Or the back of a varsity jacket. I never played sports, but considered sewing, embroidery, and crafting my sport of choice. I totally agree with you. Carly, does the dress foam, does the foam not come in the fabric kit? No, the foam doesn't come in the fabric kit and it doesn't come in the embellishment kit. Kimberbell used to have it where the foam came in the embellishment kit, but for some reason they stopped doing that. So I bought this. Where's my camera? Here. I got this, I think from Amazon or Joann. Pellon Flex Foam. It comes in 3 options. They got a sew-in one. They got one that's one side is fusible, and they got one that is 2 sides are fusible. For this, we obviously just need the sew-in. We don't need nothing fusible, but you can still use the fusible option if that's all you have in your craft room, like me. So I bought this with intentions of making one of those by Annie bags, but I have yet to make it, which is why I still have a bunch of it. All right. Can you show the package of the flexi foam? Okay, yes, there it is, Janelle. I think I added it to the supply list too on the Oh So Delightful page on my website. Both the sewing machine and the dress form are nice for apparel. Yes. If you don't have flex foam, could you use a couple layers of siding? I'm trying to, was that a typo? What am I supposed to, I'm trying to think. Batting. Batting could be an option. Also, I think you could get away with using like craft foam. I bought some craft foam recently. Let me show you. It comes in like sheets of felt. They had sheets of craft foam. It doesn't look like it's as fluffy. Here. It doesn't look like it's as fluffy as the flex foam, but you can use this too, maybe use 2 layers of it so that it puffs out. But it gives you that cushion. But batting, I think, would also work. Maybe use a couple layers of batting. Okay, so while that is stitching, I'm going to keep removing the marks I have on my sewing machine block and do that water soluble basting stitch. I'm gonna get that out too. I don't think we'd see this blue line. This blue line is like right where it's going to be sewn together. You shouldn't see it, but it might poke through. So I'm going to go ahead and get it removed. But a tide pin is your friend when you're using these kind of marking pins that I like to use. They come in handy when you don't want to have to make your project soaking wet to get the marks out. Okay, got that. Now I have a little basting stitch that I need to dissolve. Where does it go? It only goes to there, yeah. Because that was in, here it is, that first hooping. And then I could turn it around. Tweezers. It's this stitch here going around the sewing machine. I'll have to trim it here because I didn't wet this bit of it because that's under the leather. We'll have to trim it here too. Oh, I'm putting it in the water. See, bobbin thread you could pull right out. And you just have to trim it in those couple spots because it's under some stuff that we didn't get wet. So it didn't dissolve under those steps. So now this is done and ready to press. We do have to be very mindful of the leather. And we can kind of finger press this down and we can add some fray check on the edges here to prevent that from fraying. But this is done. And now this block is done. So I'll do the same thing here. I'll use the water and get that stitch out. And I will use the same method I have been using to trim the blocks out with the dress form. There's trimming instructions in the book if you have the orange pop rulers, where you use the rectangular orange pop rulers, have 2 of them inset, and you only cut the left and the right, and then you remove 1 inset and you only cut the top and the bottom. Something like that. Sometimes when they have these inset ones that are not as straightforward as the square or the, the ones that are the size of the ruler, I tend to just use my own ruler. Where's my acrylic ruler? My table is a mess right now. Okay. There it is. I tend to use my own ruler and just trim. So I'm going to end up pulling this bobbin thread out, that basting stitch. And what I'll do is this line here where my batting is, I will take my ruler and put that on my 1/4 inch mark. Line that up perfectly, and then I'll go and cut it. So I got a 1/4 inch going all around. I'll essentially be cutting right where that bobbin thread is that I'm about to pull out, because that's the bobbin thread for the water soluble basting stitch. So I'll do that. For this one, it's going to fit one of my orange pop rulers perfectly. I have an 8x10 orange pop ruler, so I'll be able to place that right on top of there and cut all the way around, just like I have my other fabrics, my other blocks. So any questions? I'm gonna go ahead and end the live, and I'm going to take my basting stitch out of here, carefully press this block without going over my flexi foam, and I'm gonna carefully press this block without touching the embroidery leather. I may use my little mini iron and go around and press this nice and focus, you know, on the edges here, and then I will trim them, and I will start piecing them together so that when you come back next week, I'll have all of that pieced together. And it should be straightforward, but let me know if you have questions. Let's see. Here's for the section 4, I'm going to do the Life is So Good and the cross stitch heart. Stitch that together first. Right sides together, stitch, then press it open, and then fold that over on top of the dress form, right sides together, stitch, press it open, and then I'll take the dress form, right sides together with the sewing machine, stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, press together, and then I will attach section 4 to the bottom of what I already have put together here, which is hanging on my wall. So hopefully that all makes sense, and it's okay that I'm gonna do that off camera because this live has already almost 3 hours long, and I know y'all are tired, and I think everyone has a handle on those things now because we've done it, you know, this is our 8th week doing it. So if you do have questions, though, feel free to leave them in the comments under the video after the live's over and the replay is on, or you can send me a message on Facebook or Instagram, or you can email me at hello@carlybell.com. So let's see. Thank you, Linda, for watching. Oh, she says she wished she can find a good sale on the orange pop rollers. I will tell you if I find one. I ended up buying mine from Sewing Machines Plus because I have a discount code for Sewing Machines Plus where you get 10% off if you use coupon code CarlyBell. So that was where I found that I could get the best deal using my own coupon code. Let's see. Why do wash away thread? That's the area that will be in the seam allowance. No, actually, where the wash away thread is where you're cutting. It won't, yeah, yeah, I guess you're right. It is in the seam allowance. In the past, I have used regular thread for that basting stitch and left it alone and tried to cut right on top of it. But some of the tips that I got before we started this project was that you should remove the basting stitch before you cut. And then I got the tip to help make removing the basting stitch easier is to use the water soluble thread. So I've done both. I can say when I've just left the basting stitch there and cut, I've had some wonky cuts because maybe the basting stitch is there. I'm not sure. It's pulling on the fabric in some spots. But that was a tip that I got before we started this project. So that's why I'm going with that. Let's see, Linda said, did I say a tied pin? Yes, a tied pin is what I use to get the marks out using either the Kimberbell water-soluble marker or the Clover. Is Clover? I think. Fabric pins that I use. The tied pin gets the marks out super easily. Let's see, Linda, what about the pink edges. Let me see, let me read. Pink, the edges. Oh, use pinking shears. Yeah, that would be super cute. Very cute. So that's fun stuff you can do. All right. Thank you all. Thank you all. Oh, yeah. Linda said she's going to go watch Dimes Recognition honoring Deborah Jones. Yes, she was an amazing teacher. Very smart lady. I'll go watch that too. Is that on Dimes channel now? I'll go look it up. All right. Okay, yeah, so I don't see any more questions. All right, so I'm going to go do those things I told you, finish up putting section 4 together. It's the same procedure as what we did with the other sections with putting them together, making sure everything is pressed before we cut, being conscientious, is that a word, of any special materials in the blocks that I don't want to touch with my iron when I'm pressing. After they are nice and pressed, trim them accordingly, and then piece them together. This section is not a lot of piecing because there's only 4 blocks. So piece them together, make sure you press your seams open after you piece them together, and that's it. Next week, we're going to start the borders, and I have to sit and think about it, but one thing I haven't done yet that we need to do is I have not cut any of my border fabrics. So if you, like me, haven't done that yet, go ahead and look at the cutting instructions in your book and cut your borders. And what we're going to go over next week is how to background quilt the borders, specifically the cute ruler stitching that's on the yellow skinny border, if you can see that. And you can't see it in the picture so well, but there's a very cute, so happy stitching going on that navy blue bit. So I'm going to go over how to embroider those. And I think depending on time, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go over how to do that. And homework will be to finish it. And then the next week, we'll start putting things together. And depending on how long that takes, if the binding will be one lesson all on its own after that. So yes, we should be done before my kids get out of school if we keep up this schedule. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and that you'll be back next week where we will work on both the skinny border and the wider border, adding the background quilting. And Kimberbell has a really cool way to continuously do this, so that you just keep rehooping and rehooping, but you're adding the quilting to one continuous long piece of fabric, and it looks seamless, kind of like our clear blue tiles today. So that's it. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.